Okay, good morning everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, it's so great to see you all again. How are you all doing?
Good.
Okay, thank you and welcome back to sociology class. Okay, so before we start today's lesson, I would like to ask some questions. Okay, you can raise your hand if you want to answer. Okay, so have you ever been a part of a group or are you now in a group? Yes, Emily?
I'm not in a group.
Oh yeah? What group is that?
WhatsApp group.
Oh, WhatsApp group, okay. May I know what group is it? Who are the members?
Class group.
Oh, okay, it's your class group. So the members are your classmates, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like being in that group? Do you feel close with the members?
Yes.
Oh, okay then. Well, thank you for answering. Okay, so today we will be discussing about social groups. Now, in sociology, there's a difference between a social group and a collection of people. Okay, so not all groups of people are considered social groups. So now, let's first learn the difference between a social group and other collection of people. Okay, so I have sent the PowerPoint file to our class's WhatsApp group. You can open it now. Okay, have you all found the file?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the first slide, which is the one entitled social group. Emily, can you please read the definition on the first slide?
A collection of people who have something in common and who believe that what they have in common is significant.
Okay, so that is a social group. That the feeling that you are in that group, that you belong in that group, is what defines a social group. So it's the sense of unity, okay, that helps define a social group. Okay, next, let's move on to the second slide, which explains about aggregates. Chelsea, can you please read?
Aggregate. A set of individuals who happen to be in the same place at the same time.
Okay, so just from here alone, you can see the difference between a social group and an aggregate. So a social group is where you actually know the people in that group, but an aggregate are just a lot of people who happen to be at the same place and at the same time. You don't know these people, but you just happen to see them. Okay? Alright. Last, we have Emily, can you please read the last slide?
Categories
Okay.
consist of one particular kind of person across time and space. There are sets of people who share similar characteristics.
Okay. Now, in a category, we have a wider scope. So a category might not just be, for example, in Surabaya, but they can be in Malang, in other continents. They're just across the universe and they share similar characteristics. They usually share similar physical characteristics. That's how you differ them from maybe other categories. Okay? Alright. So that's the definition. Now I want each of you to give me one example of each of those. So first, for example, social group. Can anyone give me an example of a social group? Oh, yes?
A family?
Oh yes, that's correct. So the very first social group that we actually know in our lives is our own family. Do we feel like we belong in our family?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so that is a social group. Okay, good one. Now what about an aggregate? What's an example of an aggregate? Okay, it's okay if you don't know yet, okay? So I will let you know. Okay, so an aggregate is, well, the example is usually more specific. For example, if you are in Tunjungan Plaza, okay? Well, for example, you went to Tunjungan Plaza yesterday, okay? Now, everyone who is in that mall at the same time as you, they're all a part of an aggregate, okay? Do you guys understand? Okay, now the last one, can anyone give me an example of a category? Okay, so a category is, for example, a Caucasian race. Do you guys know Caucasian? European people. Yeah, that's an example of a category. So race or maybe gender, those are all examples of a category. Okay, now you can put your phones back in. Okay, thank you all so much. Now, to further your understanding on this topic, I'm going to give you a worksheet. So what you have to do in this worksheet is that you have to categorize each of the group of people into the correct heading. So if you can see here that there are several group of people right here, okay, and then there are 3 headings, each labeled with social group, category, and also aggregate. And what you have to do is you put these people into the correct heading. Do you all understand?
Yes.
Okay, now I will give you 5 minutes to do the work, and after that we'll discuss the answers. Okay? No, no. So have you all finished?
Yes.
Okay, let's discuss the answers. Okay, so I will name a group of people, and then you get to decide whether it's a social group, an aggregate, or a category. Okay? So first, people who were born in Surabaya. What are they? Yes,
Categories.
okay. Okay, nice. Good one. They are categories. Okay. Next, what about members of class 7A? Yes, Emily?
Social groups.
Okay, correct. Nice. Now next, people who are 10 years old this year.
Categories.
Okay, nice, Chelsea. That's very good. All right, you guys are really good. Okay. What about people who were eating in a restaurant on Sunday afternoon? Does anybody know? Okay, I'll give this one to Emily since Chelsea answered the previous one. Okay, what is it, Emily? It's okay.
Aggregate.
People who are okay, yes, that is an aggregate. Correct. Now, what about people who were swimming in Ciputra Water Park last week? Yes, Emily?
Aggregate.
Yes, that is also an aggregate. All right. What about people who have green eyes? Again, Emily.
Categories.
They're categories because they're not only here, right? They're spread across time and space. What about people who have been friends for 5 years? Emily?
Social groups.
Okay, correct. Wow, Emily, you're getting the hang of this. Okay, next I would like Chelsea to answer, okay? What about people who are driving down 5th Avenue today?
Aggregates.
Yes, that's correct. They're aggregates, okay? Now, what about people who were shopping in Galaxy Mall yesterday?
Aggregates.
Okay, Chelsea answered it first. Chelsea, the next time you want to answer, please raise your hand first. Okay, but her answer is correct. It is an aggregate. Okay, just like how I gave an example previously. Okay. Now, what about people who volunteer for their neighborhood's cleanup? Does anyone want to answer?
Social groups.
Okay, Chelsea, next time, I will call your name first before you answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but it is correct. That is also a social group because it is their neighborhood. Okay? So they feel like they're part of that neighborhood and they feel like they're a part of the neighborhood's cleanup since everyone know each other. Okay. Now what about people who were at the train station at 9 a.m.? Yes, Chelsea?
Aggregates.
Okay, nice. That is also an aggregate. What about women who gave birth to twins? Okay, I'll give this one to Emily. Emily, do you know?
Categories.
Okay, nice. That is a category. Now, people who are part of an animal rescue organization is an Chelsea?
Social groups.
Okay, nice. That's a social group because when you decide to be part of an organization, you must know people inside it and you feel like you belong in that organization, right? Okay. What about people who have a high social status? Yes, Chelsea?
Categories.
Okay, nice. That is a category because they're everywhere. In all parts of the world, they could be anywhere. Okay, now last but not least, what about people who are attending a meeting about their company's financial status? Yes, Emily?
Social groups.
Okay, correct. That is a social group. All right, so that's the last of it. Well done, everyone. It seems like you all got the hang of this. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? perhaps about why is this categorized as a social group? Why is this a category? Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
How much people are there in a social group?
A social group can consist of as many people as we want, but more than one people, a 2-people group is already considered a social group. Okay, so for example, you and your best friend, that's already considered a group. Do you understand? Okay, anyone else? Okay, if not, then let's move on. Alright, so we have known the difference between a social group and another collection of people. Now, do you know that in social groups, there are 2 main types of social groups? Okay, so to further your understanding about the types of social groups, we will watch a video. Now, this is how it will go. First, I will distribute a digital gloss worksheet. And what I want you to do is to take notes. Okay, so first I will play the video twice, and you will be given an opportunity to take notes. I will distribute the worksheet first. Okay. Now, during the first playing of the video, you can listen to the main details and take notes of the main details. Okay, as you can see, I have prepared a column in the digital gloss for you to write your notes. And then the second time the video plays, you can take note of the details. Okay, let me repeat again. First, when the first time the video plays, you can take note of the main ideas. And then, the second time the video plays, you can take note of the main details. Okay, does everyone understand?
Yes.
Okay, so after you're done taking notes, I will give you more time to write a summary about what you have just watched. Now, after you've written that summary, I will ask some of you to come up front and read their summary in front of the others. And the others who didn't get a chance to come up front will have to help their friends if they have some missing information in their summary, or give comments. Okay? Does anyone have any questions before we start playing the video? Okay. Alright, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start playing the video now.
Each of us belongs to several types of groups. Some groups provide intimacy and close relationships, while others do not. And 2 main types of groups are called primary and secondary groups. But first, let's look at primary groups. And an example that helped me understand primary groups is a wedding. And as we can see, there's a bride and groom here. And think about who gets asked to be a bridesmaid or a groomsman. It's usually the bride and groom's closest friends or their really close family members. And that's an example of a primary group, because in primary groups, there's a sense of belonging and a shared identity. And group members care about you, and you care about other members of the group as well. And you have this sense of loyalty to each other. And belonging to the group is the whole value of the friendship in itself. You're not in it to gain any sort of goal or anything like that. So individuals in primary groups, they provide sort of an anchor point. And you were born into a primary group, your family. And you meet with members of your primary groups face to face, and you know a lot about their lives. And these close relationships are often seen as a source of close human feelings and emotions, such as love, cooperation, and concern. Now, another type of group is called secondary groups. And secondary groups are those with formal, impersonal, and business-like relationships. And they're often temporary, and they, on the other hand, are based on a specific limited purpose or goal. So these relationships are usually short-term, as we said, and you would only do a few goal-directed activities with these people in your secondary groups, like maybe attending a lunch meeting to talk business. So people in secondary groups often see them as a means to an end, meaning that they are only part of the group to accomplish a task or to earn money, for example.
All right. So, you have watched the video twice. You have taken your notes. Now I will give you 10 minutes to write your summary. Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier that the summary must at least consist of 5 sentences and a maximum of 15 sentences. So you would only have to make a 1-paragraph summary. Okay, understand? Okay, you can start working on your summary now. Remember, 10 minutes, okay? So, has everyone finished writing their summary? summary?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Alright, so now I'm going to ask some of you to come up front and read your summary. And the others can make comments, okay? The comments can be positive feedbacks or maybe some information that your friend is missing from the summary, okay? Things like that. Alright, and after you read your summary up front, I will also give comments. Then you can go back to your seat. Alright, does everyone understand?
Yes.
Alright, now, who would like to volunteer to come up front? Okay, Emily, go ahead.
Primary groups. Wedding. There's a sense of belongings and a heart identify and group's members cared about you and you cared about other members of the group as well. Individuals in primary group. They provide sort of an anchor point and you were born in a primary group, your family. Secondary group. A group with formal, impersonal, and business-like relationship and temporary. They're based on a specific, limited purpose or goal.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to give any comments for Emily's summary? Okay, then if not, then I will give you some comments. So, first of all, good job. Okay, I appreciate it. But I noticed that you made bullet points and then explanation of the bullet points, right?
Yes.
Okay, so earlier I told you to make a summary, and it should be in a paragraph. Okay, so maybe next time you could, if we were to do another exercise like this, you can try and write a paragraph. Okay, and then overall, I think the summary is pretty good. And then you also mispronounced purpose, so it's supposed to be purpose. How did you read it, Ben?
Purpose.
I heard you read it as propose. Okay, so it's supposed to be purpose. Okay? Alright, good job. Thank you. Alright, next, any more volunteers? Okay, Chelsea, please come up front and read your summary.
There are two types of group. First of all, is primary group, then secondary group. Primary group. There's a sense of belonging and a shared identity. And group members obviously cared about you, and you would also care about them as well. Individuals in primary group, they provide some sort of an anchor point. Secondary group. A group with formal, impersonal, and business-like relationship, and temporary. Secondary groups are based on a specific limited purpose or goal.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to give any comments first for Chelsea? Maybe some feedback or positive comments? Okay, if not, then I will also give comments for Chelsea. So I think there are also some bullet points which are explained, not exactly into a coherent paragraph, just like Emily's. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Compared to Emily's, this is already, I think, have a better sentence structure, but I do notice that you did mention the examples. So in the video, it mentioned how a family is an example and things like that. So I think you missed out on that. But besides that, I think it's already good, and the sentence structure is more coherent. Okay? Alright, so thank you very much. Alright, so good job. You have all done very well today. And the summary that you have made, the worksheet that you have done earlier, you can all bring it back home so you can read it later on. And when you want to review the lesson again. Okay, so what have we learned today? Yes, Emily?
Social groups.
Okay, so we've learned about social groups. Okay, so how are they different from aggregates and categories? Does anyone still remember what an aggregate is, what a category is, or maybe examples of them? Okay, that's alright. So, a social group is different from aggregates and categories because in a social group, you feel like you belong in that group. Okay? Can anyone name an example of a social group? Yes?
Is it a family?
Yes, you've mentioned earlier, so a family is an example. What about aggregate? We've already talked about it in the worksheet. Anyone remember an example of an aggregate? Okay, so an aggregate is, for example, people who are at the train station at 9 a.m. and a category is, for example, people who have green eyes or women who gave birth to twins. Okay? Okay, and what are two types of social groups?
Primary group and a secondary group.
Okay, so what are some characteristics of primary group? How do people in the primary group feel towards each other?
Cared?
Yes, they care about each other, and they're in that group because, well, they feel like they're a part of the group because they care for each other, there's a sense of love. And what about secondary groups? Yes?
Formal?
It's more formal, it's business-like. You're in a secondary group when you want to reach a certain goal. An example of a primary group would be, again, a family, maybe your group of friends, but a secondary group is, for example, your co-workers, people who work with you together in a certain company or your workplace. Okay, so that is all for today, and for next week, I would like you to read the chapter in your book about social mobility. That's what we're going to talk about next week. So I would like you to read that in your book, okay? And I would like each of you to prepare an example of a social mobility that you have experienced throughout your lifetime, or maybe a social mobility that you know or have seen. All right? Okay, so that is all for today's lesson. Thank you all so much, and see you next week.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you!